Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rotten Views podcast. Welcome to episode 226. And welcome to a new season and a new year. We are in 2025 officially. This is the first episode of the year. We have a lot of big plans for this year. And hopefully I'm able to do even a portion of the things I want to do this year. I think we'll be able to accomplish, a good chunk of it. But we'll have to wait and see what the year brings. It's, like I said, first episode of the year. We got a long ways to go. Like we like to do every single episode. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Discuss a little bit of things that are going on at the point in time. And maybe discuss a couple future plans.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
Before we get into anything, though, I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming back to the episodes, to the podcast. Thank you for returning to the Rotten Views podcast. I'm recording this one at 12:30 in the evening or early morning, depending on how you want to look at it. There's a couple background noises happening outside because, well, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no life. And this is New Year's. And I felt like, hey, don't work tomorrow. Might as well work on the podcast and record it, and that way I can edit it tomorrow. So that's my life. Hopefully you guys had a good New Year's, though. Hopefully you guys had some fun. Hopefully you didn't do anything too stupid. I know some people can do some stupid things, so hopefully you're not one of them. If you are, it sucks to be you, I guess. But back to the podcast at hand. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Hopefully we have, another influx of listeners coming in this year. Last year was actually great. I think last year was probably the best year for the podcast with the amount of growth and content that we got out. So thank you very much. If you guys can, though, if you're listening on Spotify, feel free to hit that share button. Depending on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, just hit that share button. But if you're on Spotify, hit the share button. Give it a star rating. If you want to give it a 5-star, that'd be awesome. I'm not going to ask you for a 5-star, though. I'm going to be honest. I'm never going to be that person that says, hey, give me a 5-star. Give me whatever kind of rating you think it deserves. If it's a 3-star or 2-star. If it's 1-star, I hate you. I don't really hate you. But what are you still doing if you're listening to the podcast? I don't understand. But hey, if you're listening to the podcast still and you gave it a 1-star, thanks for coming back each week. I appreciate it. If you're on Apple or iTunes, feel free to leave a review. If you're on CastBox, I don't know if there's a review section or comment section or anything on that. I haven't used that app in years, so hit that share button, though, because that share button helps out a lot. It gets the podcast out to new listeners, so I appreciate it very much. And as always, if you want to keep in touch with me or follow any of my social media stuff, all my links are down below. But you can find me on all social media accounts at Typhenstein. We're on X, we're on Twitter, we're on Threads, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. The two main things we've been pushing is the YouTube channel. I got the weekly gaming video, drops every Wednesday. I've actually taken this week off just to try and get ahead of things and get a couple videos done ahead of time. But we have very short videos as well. I've actually taken the whole week off of YouTube just to try and get content ready for the new year. So we're going to be starting fresh next week after this podcast comes out. We also have old episodes of the podcast up as well. and we do live streams over there. Been having some technical difficulties with the live stream because it says the quality keeps crapping out on me. I don't know why. I'm still looking into it. There's no real defined answer because all the tests I do, everything's fine. So I'm a little bit confused on that part, but maybe the PS5 needs an update or something. I don't really know, to be honest with you. And the other thing is also the Twitch channel. Been live streaming over there as well, so we got tons of content. So if you want to follow on the Twitch account or the YouTube account or the Instagram where you see all the artwork, follow on whichever one you want. Hit that share button. Helps out a lot, and I appreciate it very, very much if you do so. But yeah, I haven't been streaming so much this week, the last couple weeks actually, because Christmas was just last week as well. But I've been working on a ton of artwork. We actually have 2 weeks worth of Abby's drawings done for her lunch, which is all Lilo and Stitch characters, because she still wants Lilo and Stitch characters, which is fine, I guess, because there's over 600 of the damn things. But it is what it is. Hopefully you guys will check those out. I think they're kind of fun, kind of cute, so it's something fun to draw. There's also a few art series that I'm going to be working on. I'm going to hopefully get, a handful of drawings done beforehand and then drop a single one each and every single week. That's the game plan that I have right now in my head. Will it be accomplished? It might be accomplished for a couple months, might be a couple weeks, who knows? Sometimes I get behind the ball on certain things just because there's so much going on in my everyday life, but that's fine. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the artwork though. Got a bunch of video game artwork coming out as well. Pretty excited for it. And we got more Super Mario drawings coming out as well. I've got a couple of those stocked up. Got some wrestling drawings stocked up as well as some horror stuff. So keep an eye out for all of it. It's a lot of stuff. I know it is. But with that being said, let's get to the podcast at hand because that's why you're here. You're not here to listen to me rant, talk about other stuff, unless you are. And I appreciate it. Well, I guess that's what the whole podcast is about. So, but yeah, you guys are here to listen to me talk about a movie from 1984. It's got a runtime of 1 hour 54 minutes. It is Red Dawn, starring Patrick Swayze. Supporting cast is like Charlie Sheen. We also have C. Thomas Howell. We got Lee Thompson. And there's a bunch of other people in this movie as well. So at the point in hand, this movie was on Amazon Prime, but I kind of got a little late to watching it because now it's part of the MGM Plus subscription, and I don't have that. But guess what? You can still find it for free on Tubi because Tubi's a great app to use. I don't know if it's still going to be on Tubi at the point in time when this episode comes out, but that's where I was watching it because I didn't want to look for my VHS copy, nor did I want to hook up my VHS player because that thing is noisy as fuck. This feature film has a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb and a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. 84% of Google users have liked this movie. Initial release date was August 10th, 1984. The description, as read on IMDb. It is the dawn of World War III in the western mountains of America. A group of teenagers band together to defend their town and their country from invading Soviet forces. So a little bit about this movie. The director is also one of the writers. Well, that makes this job a little bit easier because I don't have so many people to talk about. The director and one of the writers is John Milius. I probably butchered his last name, like I do with all of them. But he's also the writer from 1982's Conan the Barbarian. He was the writer for 1979, Apocalypse Now. He was the writer for 1972, Jeremiah Johnson. I don't know that one, but I knew the other two. He was also a part of the writer team for the 2012 Red Dawn reboot, which I'm pretty sure sucks. I haven't seen it, but I haven't heard anything good about it, ever. He was also one of the writers for the 2011 video game Homefront. I played like an hour of that game. I don't remember too much about it, so let me know down in the comments if it was an actually good game. I really don't know. You let me know. Maybe one of these days we'll play on the YouTube channel, do a little review on it. Who knows? The other part of the writing team for this movie is Kevin Reynolds. I can say that name because that's a good name to say. He was also the director for 2002's The Count of Monte Cristo. He's the director for 1995's Waterworld. The director for 1991's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, as well as director for 2016's Risen. He was also the director for 1997's 187. That sounds familiar, but I don't think I've actually seen that one before. So let me know down in the comments below if it's a good movie. I think it's got Samuel Jackson in the cover of it, but it looks of it, so that's kind of good. We're at this section now where we pick two of the people in the movie to talk about. We sometimes do three, but usually lately we've been doing two. Of course, the first one we're going to talk about is, of course, the lead for this movie, and that is one and only Patrick Swayze. He's Johnny Castle from 1987's Dirty Dancing. He was Sam Wheat in 1990's Ghost. Also in 1991, he played a character called Bodie in Point Break. As well in 1989, he played James Dalton in Roadhouse. And the last one we're going to talk about is a favorite of mine. It's not a good movie by any means, but he is alongside with Meatloaf. In 1998, he played Jack Cruz in a movie called Black Dog. So while looking it up, I didn't know anything about this, but apparently in 2003, he was Detective Fitzgerald in Ja Rule Murder Reigns music video. I don't watch music videos at all, nor do I like Ja Rule, but I'm gonna have to look it up now just to see what the hell the context of this music video is, because I know nothing about it. Now on to the next actor that we're going to be discussing, and of course, you know, we could have talked about Lee Thompson, or we could have talked about C. Thomas Howell, but no, we're going to talk about Charlie Sheen, who's of course best known as being, you know, Charlie Harper for 178 episodes of 2.5 Men. He was also in the 1983 movie The Three Musketeers. As well, he was in 1987's Wall Street, playing Bud Fox. As well, he was Topper Harley in 1983's Hot Shots Part Deuce. As well, you know, he was in the original Hot Shots. But there's two movies that I want to mention that I enjoy a lot with him in it. The first one being from 1990, where he plays Carl Taylor, and he's alongside his brother, where he's playing in the movie Men at Work. And the next one that we're going to talk about is from 1986, where he plays the Wraith. His character's name is Jake, but he also plays the character Wraith because he's the car alien. That's a great movie. I don't care what anyone says. The Wraith, one of my favorite car movies of all time. So definitely go check it out if you haven't. Might have done it for the podcast. If I haven't, it's on the list for this year, for sure. So the tagline for this movie is, "In America, heroes aren't raised. They're orphaned." I guess that's an interesting tagline. Also, some other little details. Apparently, opening weekend in the States and Canada, it had $8,230,381 for the weekend, which I think is probably a really good opening weekend. It also had a budget of estimated $17 million, but gross U.S. and Canada, it did $38 million, as well as worldwide was the same amount of money. So I'm not sure if that's like 38 plus 38, or if that's just 38 in general. I don't know. I'm not too intelligent on that side of things, so it is what it is. But yeah, with that being said, let's get started on the movie at hand. Usually I say this a little bit sooner, but I'm going to be talking about the movie from start to finish and hitting all the points in between that interest me. So if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1984, I don't care if you're going to get mad at me because it came out in 1984. But yeah, here's your chance to pause it now, go watch it on Tubi, and then come back and listen to the podcast. Or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie. I'll either make you really want to watch the movie, or you'll just be okay avoiding it. I'm going to let you know right now, you should probably watch the movie. It's a good movie. Just putting that out there now, just so everyone's aware. But with that being said, this is your last warning. You know, you don't want to be spoiled on the movie. This is your time to pause it now, or to turn the podcast off and go to some other episode of the Rotten Views podcast. Not any of these other podcasts, it's my podcast. So go just listen to the catalog. It's over 200 episodes. There's got to be a couple good ones, right? But anyways, sit back, get comfy if you're at home. You know, get some snacks, pizza, Chinese food, whatever you might have around the home, because it's the New Year. You might have a little New Year's get-together party. Who knows? Or, you know, if you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. And if you're in the car, listen, just keep your eyes on the road. Don't be an idiot and cause any accidents, okay? Appreciate it. With that being said, we're going to get started on the movie right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight...
What's going on here, my friend?
This is the emergency broadcast system. We are under attack by conventional forces of the Russian army. It is believed the lead waves were disguised as commercial charter flights. Communications have broken down with other parts of the country. Large areas of the Midwest may have been overrun.
They know who all of you are. They're looking for you.
You're 40 miles behind enemy lines.
I just want to go home.
They took a lot of people away.
Where's my dad, Mr. Eckert?
One of us loves somebody, Andy. We're gonna die before it happens.
George! They're gonna kill us! All of us!
So why should we be different?
Because we live here!
Not bad for a bunch of kids, huh?
Mama'd be real proud.
Starting, we got the Valkyrie Films title coming up. We have the intro credits starting to roll. We see this clouds from above, of course, and we got that typical American army style music playing. We see the Red Dawn font come up on the screen. Actually, pretty cool looking font style. It's kind of got like a splatter kind of effect to it, but I enjoy it. It's better than some of these other title fonts that just look horrible. But yeah, we've got that very military police academy style music, I guess you could say. And we just, we're still flying up in the sky somewhere. And then we see this shot of some trees and a little bit of a hill and a little bit of like a river stream. And we can see that it's September because, pops up on the screen. Lets us know that the setting and time period of the show doesn't look like the year or anything by any means. But just, we see the little Chevron gas station. And we see, it looks like a nice little town. We see some kids going to school as their mom's walking them across the street with the cross guard. We see a statue of the Rough Rider from 1899. And then we see this nice Chevy pickup truck pulling up. And of course, it's Patrick Swayze, Jed Eckett, and a couple other guys showing up for the movie. Oh yeah, one of the guys getting dropped off is his younger brother, Matt Eckett, who's also Charlie Sheen. And we see the scoreboard for, I think, what was the football game. And, there's paper towel and everything, all toilet paper all over the place because they just got destroyed by another team. He's like, you've lost the game at some point in time too, Jed. He's like, no, I've never lost no football game ever. And then we see Matt Eckert, Charlie Sheen's character, sitting in class with a bunch of other kids, teenagers, and it's a history class of some sort, talking about the Mongols, I think, and we can hear planes going over the head, and everyone in this class kind of doesn't really care what the teacher's saying. They're kind of just coughing and playing with their pencils, just dazing off, essentially. And then the teacher's looking outside, and we see some Soviet parachuters coming down, and we see the parachutes and people landing, and the teacher's walking towards the back of the classroom, looking out the window, being like, wonder what's going on right now. And then we hear them talking. They're talking in a different language, of course. I think it's the teacher talking at this point in time in the background. He's like, I believe these guys are very off course at this point in time. So then he goes outside to see what's going on. And we see a bunch of military guys with guns, and he's walking towards them, and he's, trying to be like, hey, friends, what's going on? And then they just shoot him. And then the Soviet guys just start shooting at the school, shooting all the windows out. And then one of them gets an RPG and just shoots a rocket in the fucking hallway, being like, yo, I'm gonna kill you all. So now we see everyone rushing out of the school, getting to the cars to try and escape. They're getting shot at all over the place because, that's what they're doing. And this movie wastes no time to just get right into the action at hand. And then to come save the day, we have Jed showing up in his pickup truck again, picking up a bunch of the kids, picking up Matt and his friends, and they're driving away, and then we see a bunch of rockets getting shot all over the place, get out of their vehicles blowing up, and you got other kids jumping in the back of the truck, and they're driving off to safety, or at least trying to get to somewhere safe. Then we see Jed driving through town, he's skidding around the corners, and then we see rockets just going all over the place, blowing up different storefronts, and I think one of the kids' dads is actually trying to chase after the truck to try and get in the back of the truck, but Jed just keeps driving, and then all the Soviet guys just kind of pin him down on the ground. And then Jed stops at a family gas station that one of the kids' dad's working at, and the kid's freaking out, being like, Dad, they're shooting at everyone. He's like, what do you mean? What kind of language are they speaking? He's like, I think Spanish or something. I'm not really too sure. And then Jed gets out of the truck. He's like, we're going to top up the truck with some gas. We're going to head to the mountains, and we're just going to hide in the mountains. And that's when the dad that runs the gas station, he's like, get sleeping bags, get whatever supplies you can, load it up in the truck, and get the hell out of here. We see him loading out the back of the truck with cases of Coke and canned food. For some reason, one of the kids grabs a football off the shelf. It's like, in case we're bored, I guess we'll just, pass the old hogskin around a little bit. And then we see them taking off down the road. The dad's staying there at the gas station because he's going to go get his wife. He's like, I'll come get you guys up in the mountains later. And then we see Jed driving down the road. But of course, there's a roadblock with a goddamn tank at the end of it. So he's like, we're going to go off-roading a little bit with the truck just to try and, get out here just to try and save ourselves. Then as they're going off-road, the tank shoots at them, so they stop the truck. And then there's another helicopter coming, and they're a little bit freaked out because they're not sure if it's theirs or not. Then the helicopter just starts blasting at the tank and the roadblock, making those soldiers run away. And then Jed and the guys are like, yeah, it's one of us. Yeah, go kick their commie ass. All other bullshit, military. Yeah, row. Hooah. So then it's now nighttime. We see the little town that the guys came from. And there's a bunch of Soviet army guys inside there, and then this leader, Bella, is coming through. He's walking through as the Yankees are shooting down at them as they have their helicopters going over top. And one of the guys is talking to Bella, being like, we only have a few, anti-tank missiles left. We're kind of freaking out. So he's like, put your best men in hunter groups with RPGs to go blow them up. Because he's like a no bullshit kind of guy. He's like, we're going to take this place over because I already said we're going to take this place over. So let's take the place over. And now it's like the next day, because we then cut back to Jack and the guys, and they're up in the hills somewhere. There's a little bit, it looks like there's a little bit of snow off in the distance, so I'm not sure if they're up high, like that high or not, but we can definitely tell it's very freaking cold, because every time they're talking we can see the breath coming out of their mouth, and they're all starting to get on each other's nerves and kind of freaked out because of the whole situation going on, which is rightfully so. If you were just at school yesterday and you saw a bunch of people paratrooping down and then rockets being shot at your school, I'm sure you'd be a little bit on edge and probably a little bit freaked out. This is where Jed's giving them the talk. He's like, I'm staying up here because my family would want me to stay alive. You guys are just a bunch of scared kids. Your family would want you all to stay alive, and that's why the best thing for us to do right now at this exact time is to stay up here in the mountains and stay alive, because we're as far away from them as possible. So they all sit down around the campfire, and Jed's like, me and Matt have been coming up here for a long time for Dad. We can survive up here for a long time. We can hunt. We can live off the land. Everything will be fine. We'll stay up here until we stop hearing those planes going overhead, because you can hear them off in the distance. And now we see is now October, and we see the guys are out hunting. They got their own little ghillie suits made up. They got leaves and branches all over their jackets, and they're hunting rabbits and deers and crap. So we see Matt and Jed, and I believe it's Robert hunting a deer, and Robert is C. Thomas Howell. It's hard to tell because you're young, and he's got like face paint stuff on his face. I wouldn't say paint, it's like mud probably. And anyways, he shoots the deer first, and he's like, he's still alive, we gotta shoot again. And then Jed's like, no, if you shoot it again, they'll be able to tell, because you never shoot twice. And then he just pulls out his hunting knife, just cuts the deer's throat. He's like, so this is your first time killing deer, huh? He's like, yeah. Well, guess what, we got a cup here, you gotta drink the blood of the deer, because that's what we did when we were kids, and you're gonna do it too. Now later that night, and they're realizing that they're slowly running out of food. So they're like, alright, fine, we'll make a trip, just a few of us, back into town so we can try and steal some supplies. And they're going back into town. They see a broken tank, and they're looking at it being like, wow, it looks like it's been here for years. It hasn't been that long. And then they're looking into the town, and we see tanks driving around. And it's like, hey, look, the stores are open. We can just go back to town like it's no big deal. It's like, no. The town's been taken over. We can't just act like it's, okay for us to just walk into town. It's not that easy. So we then see them walking in town. It's Jed, Robert, and Matt, and they're looking around all confused, being like, look at the size of that damn tank back there. Hey, look, they got the mayor's car. They painted the mayor's car. What's going on here? Then we just see a bunch of other military vehicles driving down the main roads. There's garbage all over the place. There's debris all over the place. The town's completely destroyed. So we see them stopping at a store clerk that they know and they talk to. And Jed's like, have you seen my parents? She's like, what are you doing here? You can't be here. They know about everyone and they're looking for you guys. And he's like, well, just wait. We see a guard also walking around and then watching them as they're talking. And he's like, do you know where my parents are? And he's like, so I can't be telling you this, but they took away a lot of people that they thought were going to become issues with them taking over, and they're in re-education camps, so it's pretty much just a little prison area. So then that night we see them showing up to where the prison area is, and we see a bunch of people just behind, 2 layers of chain link fence, pretty much, they start talking to one of the guys on the other side of the fence, like, hey, can you find our dad, Eckert, last name Eckert? So then the dad shows up, and he's like, hey, boys, don't talk, don't say anything, just let me look at it. His face is all beat up and bloody. He's had a really hard time inside this prison, because they've probably been kicking the shit out of him. The dad doesn't want them talking at all. He's like, I know I've been hard on you guys, I know I did a lot of things that you probably hate me for, but, it's a lot of tough love, and now hopefully you understand why, because in certain situations just like this, you need to be tough and strong about it. Of course, they have a little bonding moment, saying they love each other. Dad's like, I used to pick you up as kids, when you fell at the park. Well, guess what, guys? Yeah, it's on your own self now to pick up yourself once you fall down again. And then as the kids are leaving, because he's like, you guys gotta leave before they figure out that you guys are here. He's like, you better avenge me, boys. Boys, avenge me. So then as the kids are leaving, it's like the next day again. It's sunny out, and they're stopped at Mr. Mason's house. And Mr. Mason's happy to see him. He invites him in, lets him, get some food and get some supplies and whatnot. He's like, wow, I figure you boys be off to FA. He's like, what's that? Free America. You guys are in occupied territory now at this point in time. It's not safe around here. And then Mr. Mason brings him a little, silver container with a lid, and they pop it off, and inside of it is a giant ice cube. And inside the giant ice cube is a radio, which I didn't know would still work once it's frozen. But he's like, no, you guys gotta keep it. That way you understand what's going on at all times. He's like, no, we can't. He's like, don't worry about it. I got another one stashed away in another ice cube. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And then Mr. Mason's like, hey, I got 2 things I want you to take with you, alright? I don't want to know where you guys are going anyways. Also, the guys tried to have their way with him. I want to introduce you to my nieces. Or granddaughters, whichever one, I can't remember. Tony and Erica. And then next thing you know, we see them getting on horseback and riding off into the hills together. It's now like the next day, and a couple of the kids are like washing guards, binoculars, and they actually see Bella and 3 other Soviet or Cuban, because apparently it's the Soviets and the Cubans working together. Anyways, they're up at the cliff, and they're looking around at the area, looking around at the woods, taking pictures, taking a shot of the scenery, looking at the clouds. They're like, they're getting closer to us. We should probably go let Jed and everyone else know that, the bad guys are making it deeper into the woods. And of course, the Cubans and Soviets are taking pictures on the cliff side, and we see a bunch of 3 of the kids underneath the cliffside hiding up against some rocks, being like, please don't look down. I don't want you guys to see us. Please don't look down. I forget which one of the girls. It's either Erica or Tony. She slips going down the rocks, and then the guards start going after her and be like, oh yeah, actually you should probably keep her distance. She looks like she's got a weapon. And then one of the other guys starts shooting at the tree lines. So then a bunch of the guys start coming out of the woodwork and hiding behind trees as the other guys are still pulling, trying to get Tony or Erica. And then out of nowhere, Matt's like, I'm just gonna pull my bow back and shoot Bella in the back. At least I assume it's Bella. It's one of the main guys, at least, on the bad guy's side. And then the girls pick up his gun and just start shooting him in the back. And he's dead now. And then the other 2 guards are running through the tree line. So then the other guys start shooting at him because, they got their own guns. And now all 3 of them are all dead. I guess one of the soldiers is, bleeding deaf. He's still alive. He makes his way to the truck. And he gets ready to pick up the radio to call for help. But that's when then Jed shows up with his pistol in hand, being like, nah, you ain't calling for help, bud. So it's now nighttime. We see him sitting around the campfire, and Matt's got a pot or something. He tells Erica, I think it is, to clean it or be used to or something. And she gets all pissed off and just starts smacking him around a bit. She's like, we're both just as useful as you are. He's like, what did I do? I just asked you to clean the pot a little bit for me. It's like, that's your tone of voice. It's the way you said it. And it was wrong. It wasn't actually Bella there at the little cliffside taking pictures, because we see Bella now walking around in his full military gear, and he's not looking too happy at all. He's looking pretty pissed off. It's him discussing what's going on, because on one of their flatbed trucks we see their dead soldiers on the back of it, and he's not too happy about what's going on. He's like, I need to start interrogating some people. I'm going to start with the mayor to see what's going on. I'm sick of his peasants. So now Bella's talking to the mayor, and apparently the mayor's son is Daryl. Daryl's the one that kind of got a little bit pitchy with Jed earlier because he wanted to go back into town to see his parents. And they're questioning the mayor because apparently Daryl was part of the Eagle Scouts. He's like, that's a military service of some sort. It is. I know that is. Is he part of the reason why these guerrilla forces are trying to fight back at us? Huh, mayor? He's like, I know. He's like an honor student, like kind of teacher's pet. He's not that stupid to be in charge of a guerrilla force by any means. So we're now out in the field somewhere, and there's a bunch of people watching. There's a bunch of the Soviet guys watching. There's also Bella and the mayor there as well, and there's a bunch of what they think is the bad people in town. They just got done digging graves up for the 3 soldiers that died. So then they put them in a lineup to do a firing squad with the tanks and stuff, and we see, I think it's Jed, or maybe it's Matt. He's in a ghillie suit hiding in the field, and he watches them all get shot. And then we see Jed later that night at the campsite, and he's not happy about the situation that he just witnessed because he's ready to go to war and kill every single one of them. Then we see them setting up a trap. It was like the next day. And there's a bunch of holes that they're hiding in the field. And then they set out one of the girls. I don't know if it's Erica or Tony. I can't see at this point in time. She's on a bike. And then a couple soldiers come after her. They're like, we gotta chase her down. And then the guys pop out of the holes from which they were hiding and just start plowing down the soldiers that were coming at them. And then it rained as well along this road where there's a bunch of people up along the side of the road. And there's getting ready to get a firing squad done on them. And then out of nowhere, the guys are up on the ledge above them, and they just shoot all the guards, and then they throw like a grenade in the tank to blow it up, and then we see Aardvark on top of the hill be like, Wolverines! We see like them getting in other various fights. They're at like this barn looking area where one of the guys gets up on top of the barn and just starts rolling grenades off the roof, and it's blowing up the enemies, and somehow the guys got an RPG and they're shooting down the soldiers. It gets a little hectic. And then Bella's a little bit more pissed off because now we see him walking through a field full of dead guys on either side of him. And then we see Bella talking to this other guy that seems like he's higher up in the leadership rankings. And he's like, "What's a Wolverine?" He's like, it's a little small creature, kind of like a badger. It's also a school sports team. They're kind of assholes. And then literally as these two guys are talking, Bella and the other commander higher up guy, a storefront behind them just literally blows up a bunch of their guys inside of it. Because I believe it was Erica just a few minutes before that came out of that store. And when the guy's like, you come back later and talk to me with your girlfriend so we can have some fun. Then we see Erica just out walking around the woods. She sees some debris from like a ejecting seat from like a plane. And then she's looking over at a bush, and then we see this guard who's laying underneath a bush with his parachute wrapped around him. And she goes to wake him up and be like, "You American?" He's like, "Yeah, red-blooded." And then she takes him back to camp. At the camp, Jed's like, "Who are you and how did you get shot down?" He's like, well, it's 5 against 1. I shot down 4. I figured I was doing okay. So, now it happens. We find out that the pilot guy is Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Tanner. And he's explaining to the guys and the gals everything that's happened and how the whole attack started and how, they acted like they're commercial planes, and then everything just, happened so quickly and the explosions were so much more powerful than they expected, and they kind of just got caught off guard, and they've been fighting back ever since. And one of the kids is like, "So what started the whole war?" He's like, "I don't know, actually, to be honest with you. It's the 2 toughest kids on the block. They're gonna fight it sooner or later. Just gotta see who's the stronger one." And now it's like the next morning, and they're waking up the colonel and being like, "Come on, we're gonna go cut off a convoy down the road that we know is coming up this way. Early bird gets the worm." And the next thing you know, we see them just blasting at all these soldiers, and they're actually getting the advantage because then they also have RPGs at some point in time and like heavy ass machine guns firing all these RPGs, and they're actually making the Cuban and Soviets actually retreat, and they're actually starting to win the battle against them. It's later that night, and they're sitting around the campfire, and Robert is carving like patches of 5 into his butt of his gun. I'm assuming for kills. And Tanner's like, "Hey, son, all that hate's gonna burn you alive inside." He's like, "It's getting me warm at night, to be honest with you." We now see that we are in December, and the hillside is filling up with snow, and it's getting colder and colder, of course. They have this like bigger campground set up now, and then Andrew, the colonel guy, they have this like MIDI display map created with some dinky cars and some other crap to show off the layout of the town essentially, and how they're going to do this attack, where they're going to cut, where they're going to flank around. And one of the guys like, "I got a question. What's a flank?" And then we cut to nighttime, and we see a watchtower getting RPG'd, them running in with a big ass truck, gunshots happening all over the place. We got a couple guys running to a jet. We see the girls taking over like one of the heavy machine stations, and they're just firing at everyone, that's an enemy, of course. And then we see them handing out guns to the prisoners of war, essentially. That way they can start fighting back with them. We see Tanner walking over a grenade as one of the fighter jets is getting ready to take off. He's giving the middle finger, being like, "I'm throwing this grenade into your engine. You're gonna die now." And then we see Bella talking to his commander, and he's like, "A bunch of children did this?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess a bunch of kids kind of did it. The Wolverines again, silly kids." So then we see them playing football, and Tanner gets dropped to the ground by one of the kids. And then Erica and Tony come over to check on him because he's acting like he's all sore. So then he pulls down Erica, and there's a big age gap here, and she keeps asking questions, being like, "So how'd you meet your wife? Where'd you meet her, huh?" He's like, "You really want to know this?" He's like, "I met her in a closet at a party. Really didn't care for her the point in time, but grew to like her after a while. We see them all at Mr. Mason's house now, and apparently they're giving them some supplies, and Mason's saying, how the other side has heard about Jed and what they're doing. And apparently, they might know about them all the way in California. And that apparently they're going to, send some special forces to help them come springtime. But we're just in December now at this point in time, so we've got a little bit of times to kill before springtime. Anyways, we see them out in the woods, and now they have like these snow-covered suits on, so they're hiding better in the snow. And we're like, hey, that's one of our jets. It's actually one of our jets, Tanner says. And he's like, they're gonna fry them. We just see them like carpet bombing the woods area. And they're freaking out a little bit because they're like, they're carpet bombing that area over there where the tank is, moving through. And we gotta kind of move that way. So I'm not really sure how we're supposed to go about this. And then Tanner's telling Jed, you guys can quit now, be able to relax, wake up in the morning, live your life, not have to worry about this. And then they hear another tank coming behind them. And then they're like, oh shit, we gotta move. How did we not hear this tank coming sooner? So then they hide behind this hill, and then this little tank comes up on the hill beside them and starts firing at the other tank in the woods. And then we see Tanner jumping on the enemy tank. He's firing into like one of the cockpit areas. I don't know the tanks too well. I don't know how many different areas they have. But then one of the other guys gets up on the tank with him. I think it's Arvar. And he gets shot. So now he's laying across the barrel of the tank because there's another tank like 10 feet away from them. And then they've been having a hard time locking this RPG in the whole time. But they finally get it locked in and they're able to blow up the other tank. And then the guard inside the tank that Tanner's on top of just like tosses a little grenade outside the hatch, and Tanner doesn't realize it, and it blows him up. It doesn't really blow him up fully though. Like he's got a back wound, but he's still like intact. So then Tanner, before he dies, drops like a flare signal inside the tank. He's like, you guys gotta shoot straight for once, please. And then everyone's like, oh shit, we gotta go because that tank is going to be shooting towards us, or the helicopter or the jet's going to be shooting towards us soon. One of the two is going to be shooting towards us. And if we're here, we're going to die too. We now see them all back at the camp, and I think it's Erica. She's crying because she loved Tanner, fell in love with Tanner. And then one of them's like, where are we going to bury him? I think the other girl's like, there's not really much of him to bury left, because the other tank was, shooting at him when he was laying on that tank. So everything blew up, and he kind of went all over the place. So now it's sometime in February, and we see it's snowing in the woods, and we see the comrade people, the Soviets and the Cubans, in their winter suits, trying to hunt down the Wolverines in the woods. Because apparently to become a fox, or to hunt a fox, you gotta become a fox. I don't know why the guy was using fox as a reference, because there's like a little town meeting with the soldiers, let's say. And they go to hunt them down in the woods. But of course, the other guys are already ready for them. Jed and the crew are laying down in the woods. They got all their heavy machine guns all set up and just start plowing down every single guy that's coming towards them. And then they get up and start walking through and looking at the debris. And we just see dead soldiers all over the place with their blood filling up the white snow. And it's very suspenseful, I guess. We see that there's one soldier left alive. So they take him back to camp and tie him up. And they're trying to figure out this machine that they have. It's a machine that was kind of like sending a sonar signal to where they were, and they're trying to figure out what it is, and they're trying to question him about it. And of course he doesn't speak English, so there's a little bit of a learning difference between the two. They start kicking the crap out of the guy because he won't answer the questions for him. And then Matt figures out the machine. He's like, hey, look, it's an arrow. It's pointing at something. Jed's like, where's it pointing? And then of course it's pointing at one of them because he has a little tracking device on him. And of course it was Daryl, the mayor's son, that got caught because his father turned him in. And they're using him as bait to try and hunt down all the Wolverines. Then we see them out in the woods in a fielded area, essentially. And Jed wants to fire on Daryl and the enemy soldier. But of course, the only other person that wants to shoot them is Robert. And they're like, no, you can't shoot Daryl because he was one of us. They're like, we can shoot him because he told them where we were the whole damn time. He's setting us up to be murdered. And Jed goes to shoot Daryl, but of course he can't. So then Robert just pulls up with his AK and just shoots him. We now see the crew up on like some rocks as they're watching over as this convoy. There's like 2 trucks and a tank looking thing, APC, on the road, and they're getting ready to take off. And as they are taking off, the 3rd truck, the last truck, actually has 2 crates or boxes that fall at the back of it, and there's a bunch of food that falls out of it. So then Jed sends Tony down to go check it out, and she's looking at the food. She's starting to eat some of it. She's, putting the food up in there and being like, yeah, it's good food. And Jed's a little bit scared that it's going to be like an ambush of sorts, which it would make sense to be. We see them all riding down to the road to grab all the food, grab it as fast as possible, because they want to get back up on the rock, so they're hidden away that way in case other soldiers do show up. They're not out in the middle of nowhere on the road, sitting ducks. Then as they're sitting behind the rock, eating and munching away at the apples and cereal and everything else that fell in this box, they hear some sounds coming, and it's a big giant fighter jet of some sort coming at them, and Tony actually gets shot. Don't know if she's dead. I think she might be fine. She might just be a little bit wounded. Everyone has to run to their horses to try and get out of the area because this helicopter just keeps making rounds. And then 2 more appear. We have Tony riding on the back of Jed's horse, and as they're riding away, Tony actually falls off the horse, so then Jed gets off and puts her on his back and starts carrying her away. And we can tell that she is wounded a bit because, there's a little bit of blood all over Jed now because he's carrying her. And then as the guys are riding away, I'm surprised the horses are doing as well as they are. I've seen they're getting machine guns shot at them. I think it's actually Robert that gets off his horse, or he falls off his horse, and he's got an RPG, and he shoots it at one of the helicopters. And then off in the distance, we see another helicopter showing up, and he's just staring off at it. He's then pulling up his face mask, and he's yelling Wolverines as he's using his AK or his rifle of some sort, and he's shooting at the helicopter, but of course he's definitely underpowered to go up against the helicopter. Then we see the 3 helicopters. They're kind of searching the area to see if they can find the rest of them, but it looks like they're getting ready to take off because they can't find anyone. And we see Tony and Jed hiding underneath a tree, and Tony's not looking so good. Tony's literally pleading with Jed to kill her because she doesn't want them catching her, because if she feels like if they do catch her, they're going to force her to talk, and she doesn't want to talk at all about anything. So she'd rather die. And Jed's like, I can't kill you. I can't do it. So seeing that Jed won't kill her, she's like, fine, just give me your grenade, pull the pin for me, please, and I'll hold it close to my chest because I don't want to be too cold and let them get to me. So we see the rest of them riding off, and of course then we see the enemy helicopter landing, and we see Tony underneath that tree laying there, of course, and the soldiers are getting closer to her, and of course she's going to detonate that grenade once they get close enough to just, mess them all up. So it's another night. I'm not sure what night it is, but it's Matt talking to, I believe it's Danny and Erica, and they're setting up a plan so that Danny and Erica can get out, get to the safe zone, essentially, because he's like, me and Jed, we're all used up. We got nothing left in us, so we're going to stir up some stuff to make enough commotion so that you guys can get out and live your lives. Then we see Bella inside one of the buildings writing a note to maybe his family? I'm not too sure. But he's questioning his decisions on why he came to such a place that's so cold, so far away from his family, so much loneliness, and he's really questioning his political moves, I guess you could say, or the side that he's fighting on. And then we hear some explosions going off outside, so he's like, crap. That's when he then goes outside and we see watchtowers falling over, buildings being blown up, vehicles flipping over and catching on fire, soldiers running around waving their arms because they're burning alive. We then see Matt and Jed just running through town, 1-man wrecking crew, or I guess a 2-man wrecking crew because there's 2 of them. They're tossing grenades up on balconies, blowing up, enemy gunners, and just, shooting anyone pretty much that walks in front of them. That's when we then see the new guy in charge coming out, looking around, being like, crap, what did I get myself into? And then we see Jed and Matt jumping on the train that's moving through town and hiding behind 2, little gunner, wagon things. And then out of nowhere, the new guy in charge just starts shooting because he sees one of them behind one of the trailers. I think he might have actually pegged Matt in the shoulder a little bit. So they both jump off the train, but then he's looking through the different train carts and they can't be seen anywhere at all. Then the train ends, so he goes on the other side where, he saw them fall off. And of course, one of them is shot because we see a little bit of trail of blood. And then as the guy's looking around behind some barrels to see where they went, Jed walks up being like, you lose, and they have a gunfire shootout with one another. One's got SMG of some sort, and the other's got a revolver. And Jed does kill him, but he gets shot as well. And then we see Jed carrying Matt away, and Matt's been shot in like the shoulder or chest area. And then Bella is standing there pointing his AK at them, and he just puts the gun down because he's tired of this war. Bella just gives Jed, a hand motion to like go off, and then he throws his gun down on the ground and just starts staring at his hands, and you can just tell that he's very upset with the choices he's made and pursuing this war. We see Jed fall to the ground and drop Matt, and then he's pulling Matt up onto a bench, and he's telling Matt to hold on, that Dad's gonna be there soon, and he's just holding him. But Matt's not showing any form of life at all. We see the two of them sitting on this bench that's inside of a park area, and Jed's telling Matt he's gonna hold him as long as he can. He's just so damn tired. And now it's like the next day, and we see Danny and Erica working their way through the woods. We see them standing on this cliff, and they're looking down at the other side. It's like an open pasture area, and they're free now. They're in the Free America section of the area. And then we hear Erica doing a little narration, being like she never saw their brothers again, and she never forgot about them, and she comes to the Partisan Rock often to think about them and remember them and everything that happened during World War III. And that's the end of the movie. The outro credits start to roll, and we see, it's breaking down each character with a portrait picture of them in their warrior gear and, the actor's name and character name. And that ends the movie. And I gotta say, it's almost a 2-hour long movie. Doesn't feel like it's 2 hours long, to be honest with you. I think the pacing's really well done. The action scenes are really well done. It's a very good story. I'm not much for like war style movies, but I did enjoy this one a lot, and I do like to watch it every now and then, once every couple of years. Like I said, I'm not big into war movies, but I think it's got a really good cast. I think that's probably what helps it out a lot. So on the Rotten scale, I'm going to give this one a solid 7 out of 10. Definitely highly recommend checking it out. Like I said before, you can check it out on Tubi because Tubi's good. Or you can, if you have MGM Plus, you can watch it on there as well. Or rent it on Amazon, I guess. Alright, so for next week's episode of the podcast, we're going to watch a movie that I've actually never seen before. I've heard of it before, but hopefully it's a pretty good one. It's from 1991. It's an action crime movie. You can watch it as well on Tubi, so definitely go check it out beforehand if you want to. It's Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Like I said, never seen it before, but it's got Mickey Rourke in it, so that's kind of cool. Could be good, could be really bad. So I guess we'll have to wait and see till next week. As always, make sure to check out the outro band, Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera. You can find all their links down below. Find them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, but the main thing being the Spotify. So definitely go check them out on Spotify. Go give them a follow. Go give them a like. Share their music. Add their music to a playlist, whatever it might be. And as always, you can check out all my links down below as well at Typhenstein. Follow me on any and all social media platforms. We're on X, we're on Threads, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have the YouTube channel. That's a big one. Go live every now and then. Not so much lately, just because I've been, taking a little bit of time off for starting the new year. We're going to be getting back on action on that as well. Make sure to check out the weekly game video. Drops every single Wednesday. We have various shorts over there as well. And as well, once we have 1,000 subs over there, going to be giving away some free artwork. And also you can check out the Twitch channel as well. Going live over there as well. Playing a bunch of different video games.
And we're going to be bringing back some art streams here soon. So it should be fun stuff. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace and Happy New Year's.
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for, if not for shit?